Welcome back to Awkward Insurance. My beautiful co-host, Ashley Fitzsimmons, was unable to join us today. She decided that the slopes were calling her name, and who can blame her? I think I would totally ditch this desk for the slopes if I were able to. Would you, Mike?
Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty good.
I know, right? She's in Ohio, so she's getting all the beautiful snow, I suppose. But everyone that's listening is here, and that's what matters most. We are continuing our journey on uncovering the myths or misunderstandings in our beautiful insurance space. So if you have something you need uncovered or investigated, or just want to complain about something, join us on Awkward Insurance Facebook page and let's hash it out. Now listen, this community of awkward followers is what got us our guest today, and I'm so excited about that. We had a last-minute cancellation on our recording schedule, so I put out a desperate plea for someone to save me, and my savior came. His name is Mike Willits. Thank you so much for being here today, Mike Willits. I am so excited, and like I said before we started, I think you're the most prepared guest we've ever had.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor. You two are so much fun. I mean, how you make flood insurance interesting and exciting, I don't know how you do that.
Now, listen, the flood guru did that. But you call yourself the insurance guru. So we've got the flood guru and the insurance guru. I love it. Well, Mike, we'll get into a little bit about you just for a second. You are an agency relations manager, otherwise known as a marketing representative in layman's terms, for Red Shield Insurance on the Pacific Northwest region. Now, I'm not too great with geography. I've been out of school for a hot minute, but that's like Washington State, Oregon, and
Idaho.
The potato state.
It is, yes, ma'am. And beautiful. I also travel into Montana and Utah as well. So it's a beautiful part of the woods if you ever venture up here.
So you're a potato. You're how do you say it in Idaho? Are you an Ihodian?
Oh, we're an Idahoan.
Idahoan. Dadgum. Yes. I need to brush up on what everybody's called in each state. Anyways, so what's it like in Ohio? Not Ohio. That's Ashley. Dadgum. What's it like in Idaho right now?
Well, Idaho, we are not sure what kind of weather we want to have. Last week we had 1.5 feet of snow. And then this week, it's like in its 60s. It's balmy. We're out there suntanning with the potatoes.
So you have false spring too, huh? Tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been in insurance for around 20 years. Is that right?
I have, yeah.
All right. Let's get a brief history on Mike.
Yeah. So I started off, I thought I could be an underwriter, and I was a terrible underwriter. I kept wanting to go.
How so?
I wanted to go and work with the agents. I love the sales process. And so I would spend more time doing that than like using my slide rule and measuring things out there. No offense to the underwriters on the line. But
Do they still use slide rules?
I don't know. They did back when. But
oh, they did 20 years ago. So you were just approving everything. Is that what made you a terrible underwriter? Is you said yes when you're supposed to be saying no? Didn't you get the job description?
Well, exactly. That was my problem. But so I started off there, and I'm glad I did, actually, honestly, because it gave me kind of an understanding of our brothers and sisters on the underwriting side, what they have to go through. But anyway, it didn't last long. This is, we think you belong in sales. So I moved over and have been a carrier rep. As you mentioned, they call us a bunch of different things: agency rep, marketing rep, whatever, agency relations manager, specialist, what have you. But I get the opportunity to work with just some incredible agents and help them build their businesses. And it's just a real passion for me. And so that's what I've done for the past number of years.
All with Red Shield or other carriers?
No. Yeah. So I worked with Fireman's Fund, the old Fireman's Fund. So I worked for a national company. And then I went over and worked for a regional Mutual Enumclaw. And then I spent a little bit of time on the other side working for an agency aggregator, Pacific Crest. And then Red Shield stole me away about 2 years ago. And again, I get to follow my passion and work with agents again.
You get to follow your passion and work with agents. Now, in your bio, you said in your spare time you love reading ISO forms.
Oh, love it.
Is that not your passion? Because it's mine.
Oh, I love it.
What do you love so much about ISO forms?
Well, ISO forms, the fun thing about ISO forms is you get to dig a little bit deeper and understand how it's going to apply. And like it becomes alive when you've got a situation, whether it be a claim or with a prospect account. How are we going to solve this solution, right? And they're really beautiful. I mean, the more you dig in, I know everybody thinks this is awkward and weird now, but I love digging in a little bit and seeing how it would apply. And then you add in all of the sauce, the secret sauce that the companies add in, and making something special for your clients. And at the end of the day, they probably don't read it, but I did, And
I know. I just, as an agent, I always loved. Now, this client never saw it coming. And this is a client in general, not any one particular. But when they said, "Can you tell me more about this coverage?" I lived for those moments. It was like, how much time you got? Like, we have all day for me to explain this coverage for you. And then I'm pretty sure they were like, "I will never ask that question again." I will just trust that you know what you're doing at this point. That's awesome. But we're here to talk about uncovering some myths about marketing reps. Now, I know when I was in the agency, I had my pain points with marketing reps. And when I started thinking about what are some of the myths or what are some of the misunderstandings, maybe even from when I first started in insurance, what did I go into these meetings thinking marketing reps could do for me? And so I could start with some of those myths, but I promise some of my marketing friends are going to come for me if I do, because they're very stereotypical. And, I would say, like, you don't know anything about insurance, do you? You're just here for the production numbers and to tell me what my benchmarks are supposed to be. But what I need you to do in particular, I expected that if I asked for a replacement cost endorsement, they were going to go back to product, write one up and give it to me. Yeah. That's what I wanted my marketing rep to do. Solve my problems.
Yeah, no doubt. There's just so many misconceptions, and there's good in every line of business. There's good and bad. They're really good at reps out there, which there are a lot out there, and definitely if you're a good rep, definitely make a comment. We'd love to hear that and what you do to separate yourself. But so often there's a myth and misconception around marketing reps that all we're there for is to read you the company line, or say, "Hey, give us more production."
It's not.
It's not. I promise.
Oh,
I promise. There is so much more that a good marketing rep can do for your agency, and that's what I hope our discussion today can kind of be about. And also, I forgot to say it's Happy Valentine's Day, so.
Yes.
This is the 14th,
you have any big plans for Valentine's Day with your snuggle bunny? Oh, that's
sweethearts.
Can we cut that line? That was awkward.
Oh, geez.
Do you have any plans?
Yes, I've got to do dinner and I've got to buy some flowers. So I don't know if it's too late for that or not. So I've got to do those two things. So.
Oh, gosh. Well, happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for remembering that part, because I know I wouldn't have. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody in Awkward Insurance. So, I want to take this in a backwards kind of direction. Instead of talking about what makes a good marketing rep, let's talk about what makes a bad marketing rep.
That's awesome. I think there's a lot of material there. Just asking the agent. I think the biggest thing, and maybe you would agree, is just wasting time, right?
Yes.
You have a rep that comes in and they're going to spend an hour. I've seen a marketing rep one time went in and took 2 hours. I mean, and you're taking your staff offline in order to have that conversation. And so that to me is just heartbreaking to see reps do that.
Yeah.
And especially with this hard market, there's so much to be done, right? And and people are busy, and just don't waste our time.
So time suckers are a no-no. What's another bad marketing rep?
Yeah, the other thing is like over-promising and under-delivering. That's been a frustration I've heard. Marketing reps will come in, we can do this and this and this, and like they promise the world, and then you send it in to the underwriter and you get a big fat no.
Right.
That's painful. And so, reps really need to understand what business is actually being written, and then follow up.
Yeah. In light of business, what markets does Red Shield have right now?
Yeah. So Red Shield, we're a family-owned carrier based just outside of Portland. And what we do, we don't do all the fancy stuff that the Red Umbrella and the Moose and all of the really, really good carriers do. what we do is the stuff that doesn't fit with them.
Mhm.
We're admitted market, so we're one step above our friends in surplus, and we do have a little
Surplus is
surplus
so
company.
much fun, though.
That's true. What we write older property. We want the stuff that everybody else doesn't want. We want the older hab. We want the older restaurants. We want the convenience store where the like restroom key is on a stick and a chain. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those.
No, and I will never go to one of those.
that's that's the type of business we like.
Okay, so we know a couple of things that make a bad marketing rep. Give me, well, let's just go with the time sucker. In order to avoid sucking an agent's time when you walk into an office, because I know that's happened to me more than a time or two, whether it was a scheduled situation or the marketing rep showed up so that they can hand out their quota of business cards. I'm sorry, was that another stereotype?
It is.
I am so going to get some text messages from my marketing folks. I know it. What's a way to avoid time sucking on an agent or agency? What's your go-to tip for that?
Well, great. There's two things that I suggest. Number one is sitting down with the principal and say, what do you want? How can I bring the most value to your agency?
Do you recommend doing that before or after the meeting, or before or during?
So I usually do that early on in the relationship when I first meet with that agency or get to know them. Obviously you always ask the standard questions. Tell me about what business you write, what percentage of commercial and personal, blah, blah, blah. But then I kind of turned the table on them and said, what do you want from a marketing rep? What do you want to see? Do you want me to send you the agenda in advance? I've got some agencies that really like that.
Mhm.
Here are the 5 talking points that I want to address. Is there anything that you want to put on there? And then the other thing is just being clear with expectations. As a rep, I don't want to waste an agent's time or a CSR's time. And so I'm really clear about, hey, I've got these things on my list that I need to cover and have a conversation with. Is there anything else that I could help the agency with? Does that make sense?
It does. What kind of answers do you get out of? Is there anything else I can help the agency with? Let's thinking in terms of that, like especially from brand new insurance agent perspective. I learned a lot from my marketing reps in terms of their POS systems, and then I learned a lot from underwriters when it came down to what fit and what didn't, and understanding the underwriting guidelines. And of course, I learned a lot from claims adjusters in terms of why a claim was denied or why it was even approved, where the coverage was found. I asked all the annoying questions whenever I got on the phone with somebody. Everybody knew my name, and it probably wasn't a good thing. Because it's like, I was the client that was like, oh, it's Dustin calling again. She's going to ask way too many questions about this. So when you go in and you say, what else can I help you with? Either answer this in the way of what do you hear most frequently that agencies are asking you for? Maybe there's another marketing rep out there that thinks, oh, that's a great idea.
Sure.
Or what do you think agencies could benefit from the most that they may not know about?
Oh, man, those are 2 great questions. The first one is what I get asked the most is tell us how to write the business. What are you writing? How can we maximize that? And I appreciate that question. I really do. And it's a softball question for most marketing reps because they can say, hey, this is what in this area, this is what I'm selling the most of. Like this past week, I was up in Spokane area and meeting with a few agents up there. I sat down with an agent in particular. He's like, help me out. What I want to have some wins with you guys. What should I call in? I'm like, builder's risk. In that area, we're writing a number of really good builder's risk accounts. And so I know that intel. I know what he's going to have a high hit ratio on. And so I can kind of feed him those softballs and how to write business with us.
Mm-hmm.
What I wish agents would ask me, that second question, I want to have a little more fun with that one because there's so much that I can do to help agents that they might not be aware of. Besides reading the company line and bringing donuts, right? That's the other standard myth, right?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So what do you wish that agents would ask for?
Yeah, the things that I've done for agents that are kind of off the beaten path. A big one is being a mystery shopper.
Ooh,
And
explain
a lot
that.
of times, agent principals, they think they understand their sales process with their sales team. But what I can do is I can connect. Sometimes the people in the agency know my face and my voice.
Uh-huh.
So what I might do is get another marketing rep in a neighboring state or what have you to kind of be the mystery shopper and have them call in and get an auto quote and how long it takes to get back, what questions they ask. A big one is offering feedback on background noise. I did this for an agent, and I'm like, you can hear people laughing and being very loud in the background. And he's like, I didn't realize that. And they were able to kind of design their cubes a little bit better. So the sound was a little bit lower and the sales experience was a lot better just by doing that mystery call. Isn't that crazy?
Is that something you think all marketing reps would be willing to do? Or is that the calling card of Mike Willits?
I think good ones. Again, it goes back to your good ones.
So what do you hope to achieve out of doing the mystery shopper thing? Is it that like you're making sure that they're asking the right questions to help fit your company's niche, and so it helps them tailor their conversation a little bit better? Or
Oh, great question. A good marketing rep knows that the better the agency does as a whole, the better your company's going to do. And so a lot of the things that I do for an agency aren't necessarily helping my company right at that moment. But if I can make that agency better, if I can help that CSR grow and develop and train them on something else, help them know how to cross sell, that makes that agency more profitable. That makes them gives them opportunity to hire more staff. And over the long run, which I'm in it for the long run with my agents, I want to see them thrive. I want to see them grow their shops. And so, yeah, if I can help them on these different areas that doesn't have immediate payback for me, I'm all about that.
I like that response. And I know I've heard that response a time or two from marketing reps that, I want to help you learn things that may not benefit me directly, but will help you grow. Because when you grow, I grow. But I don't think I ever came full circle on what that would truly look like from the marketing rep's perspective. That's really interesting.
Yeah, the other thing I've done for agents is helping them get other carriers. And this seems counterintuitive a little bit. Like, why in the world would you do that? Well, I primarily work with independent agents, right? And so the healthier that agency is and making sure that they have the right markets. And I'll let you in a little secret. A lot of us marketing reps, we all talk.
Uh-oh.
And I'm connected with the other reps, our Safeco rep, our Travelers rep, EMC, the other markets. And I can do an introduction saying, man, you really need another preferred commercial market. And I want to introduce you to Zach, or I want to introduce you to Steve or Sarah, any of these other reps that could come in and help the agency. Now, at the end of the day, does that help me and Red Shield at that moment? Probably not in that moment, but over the long term, it makes that agency better. They get more opportunities, they write more business, they get more referrals, and they're more successful.
And then I want to point out that just kind of makes the industry better as a whole. Our industry is such a little big world, or is it a big little world? I'm not sure which way to say that, but it is such a little big world. And when we're able to build those relationships that way, but then that also, not only does it make it the industry better in terms of you're providing a great service to your agents by making those connections for them, but on the backside of that, I feel like that's also establishing a level of accountability because we all talk to each other.
Yeah.
So
No,
if you
that's for
diss
sure.
me, I'm going to let other marketing reps know. Or if you send me bad business or don't write your apps right, or you try to slide stuff under the radar, well, then I'm not going to make those connections for you. So it kind of holds a little bit of accountability into the insurance industry by letting everybody know we're all connected in one way or another.
I'm doing a virtual fist bump with you right now because that is so true. One other thing, if I could just add one last thing that I do that kind of shocks agency principals is I'm like, I want to spend an afternoon going and cold calling with your newest agent. And they're like, what? I love doing I've kept my insurance license so I can talk to people about insurance. And I love getting in a car and let's go knock on some doors. And some of those accounts are going to fit Red Shields, most don't. And it's a great chance for me to like stay grounded in terms of what the agent experience is actually like. But it's also a chance I can share some knowledge and some pointers and give a little bit of feedback to a junior producer on how to approach cold calling. And let me tell you, the principal, when I do that, I always get a principal pull me aside. Hey, I really appreciate the investment you're making.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you what your acceptance rate of that is, because I could see it going two ways. I could see it being like, I'm not sure I want somebody else training my person, or I'm so swamped right now. Yes, I would love the additional help training my new person.
Yeah, I can only share my experience, and I've never been told no. I've never been told no by a principal.
Really?
Now, part of it that is there's a comfort level with some of the. I mean, I've worked with the agents that I work with now for 20 years, so they kind of know who I am and how awkward I am. So they feel fine with turning me loose with a young producer, and I really enjoy it. That's probably it's probably my funnest part of my job is when I get a chance to do that. And to all the agents on the line, we know that feeling, that pit in our stomach when we're outside the door of a prospect, and we're going to go in there and we're going to ask for the business and do the introduction and get past the receptionist and all that. I love that part of our business. I really do.
I'm going to call it the ADHD hack of body doubling. So I have ADHD, and I feel like the older I've gotten, the worse it's getting again. I felt like super bad symptoms when I was a kid. I think it kind of went into remission for a little while after I had my first kid because I didn't struggle with so much of keeping on track. But now the older I get, I think the more these ADHD symptoms are coming back into play. And one thing when I'm struggling the most to stay on track or stay focused or stay motivated is an ADHD hack called body doubling, where you just need somebody in your presence to keep you motivated because you don't want to let them down. So you just keep going, and they don't even have to do anything. All they have to do is just stand there, be with you. That's it. That's kind of what that sounds like, only it's a producer hack.
Well, a couple things. I mean, it really gives confidence to a junior producer, to
Sounds
have
like it.
somebody
Yeah.
else there and to kind of back their play. And then the other thing, I want to give you a compliment. You on a number of these shows, you've talked about ADHD and shared, some personal things. And I really appreciate that. I think the more we talk about some of the challenges we experience, it helps other people feel more comfortable about talking about their experience. So I just want to give you a shout out on that.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I think Ashley and I even had a former co-host that she shared a lot of herself. I think, honestly, I think that's what I want the most out of Awkward Insurance is just the human connection. Insurance is way more than sales. It is way more than numbers. We are all humans. We all have some kind of struggle that is going on. And insurance, this industry happens to be, in my opinion, one of the most flexible and diverse industries that allow for all learning types, all work types, all family types, all career types, all ambition types. It really seems like that you can really make the most out of a career in insurance. So I'm really happy that you pointed that out and said that, and I appreciate that. Back onto the producer training, though, I know now in terms of the role that I played in an agency, it was a production role, of course, but it was through account management and service and account rounding and a lot of times incoming leads, stuff like that. And of course, I had my own centers of influence with mortgage referrals and stuff like that. So I wasn't out there beating the streets because I definitely wasn't. I could not stay focused enough. If I got in my car, that car was going home. It was not going anywhere else, right? But I did always enjoy, especially if we were onboarding a new carrier, having that marketing rep come in and show me their POS and the tips and tricks on the POS or where this is a really critical one. Within POS systems, there could be a check mark somewhere that if you miss it, creates an E&O if you're not looking for it. Or maybe it has to do with typically you're used to maybe travelers adding personal injury onto homeowners all the time, even though it is an endorsement that gets added on. It's just automatically checked. So you just think it's included. But with another carrier, you might actually have to check that box to make sure that personal injury gets added on there. So I always loved when my marketing reps came in and did a training session, if you will, just on their POS system, not because we're trying to sell the business at that moment, but bring in a couple of apps so that way we can quote them. And yes, I understand the hidden agenda behind that one. Let's see if this app actually fits while we're training on it. But to get to know the intricacies of those POS systems, to really know how to override where a certain discount is or even when you're adding this discount or that discount, you have to understand where the maximum threshold of that discount hits. And you can keep adding them all you want to, but you're only going to hit a certain threshold. So I really appreciated that from the CSR account management standpoint. And it sounds kind of the same thing as going out and beating the streets with a producer and showing them where those tips and tricks and little sweet spots are. I think that's what I benefited from the most with marketing reps when they came in, was learning about the sweet spots, because then I knew what to stay away from and not waste my time on that. Now, of course, I would throw a curveball every once in a while just to see if it was going to fit, almost as a way of being obstinate so that I could show them that their sweet spot can hit someplace else that they didn't know about. But I did really enjoy getting to know carrier sweet spots for sure.
I had an agent ask me a great question one time, and I'd recommend it to agents. What goes wrong most often with your billing system?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And I'm like, I knew exactly. There was a little weeks. It wasn't with the company I'm presently with. It was my previous company, and there was this one little quirk that we had about our billing system. And I told them exactly. And guess what? A few weeks later, boom, they hit that. They knew exactly what was going to happen, and they were able to work through it. And sometimes, I mean, at first I was a little intimidated by that, like, oh, I don't want to talk about the bad, but it ended up being, turning into a good because I was able to help them and kind of prepare them for a problem that it happened often, right?
Yeah, that's definitely a good one, especially since our clients will typically call us to do all of their billing. And it is tax season, and that is such a traumatic season for account managers because we suddenly take on the role of accounting executive for our clients, where they're asking, what were my homeowners rates for this year? What were my billing for this? And you need to keep up with that stuff yourself. I am not your tax attorney here.
Yeah.
I got other things to do. But yeah, no, that's a good one. I've got one carrier in mind, and I don't know that this was a quirk on their billing system per se, but it was some of those tricks that come with a discount, the pay in full discount. And
Mm-hmm.
you don't get the discount if you mark it as mortgagee bill. I'm not sure why. I never really asked the why to that question. Or what did it have? There was another trick. Oh, it had to do with the advance quoting discount and understanding what that meant, that we could advance quote something and get this great discount. But if we weren't familiar enough with that carrier, whether they were new or maybe we just didn't hit in that market very often, so we forgot some of their quirks, that you've got your 14-day out quote, but then you go to issue it 7 days out and suddenly that discount falls off and you're panicking because now you've got to tell your client you've got a higher rate because you didn't issue it 14 days before. Ugh, those sucked.
A good rep is going to help you with that.
Yeah.
And right up front, hey, let me soften the blow. Let me tell you that little tricks to the trade. And
Those are the ones where I'm calling the company begging for them to override that discount. Please, pretty please. I promise I won't do it again.
and not just on the business transactional side, maximizing profit sharing agreements.
Mm.
That was a question that I had an agent principal ask me. How do I maximize your contract? What do I do? And so we sat down and came up with a little plan. Hey, this is what we need to do. You need so much new business. We need to get the PIF count up and do this and this. And then I would give him updates. And financially, that was a boon for him. And obviously, he shared it with the agency. So it can be quite significant. And a good rep's going to know that profit sharing agreement backward and forward and be able to help you maximize it.
Yeah. To go back for just a second, he said PIF count. That means policy in force, just in case somebody did not catch that one. So your policy in force count. Yeah, that's really interesting. A lot of great questions there for sure that hopefully if somebody didn't know they could ask those questions, they now know. Lots of great nuggets that you've dropped in today. Is there any final, if there's one thing, maybe a new agent or maybe just somebody who has always rolled their eyes at a marketing rep coming in, so they never attended those meetings, one thing that you could say to fall in love in the light of, I'm sorry, I'm struggling with Valentine's Day puns today. In light of Valentine's Day, one thing that an agency or producer or account manager could do to fall in love with their marketing rep.
Oh, I love that question. I
Do
love that
you?
question.
That was really hard for me to get out.
Well, I would say, and this is only with your good reps, with your very best one or two reps, share with them, if you're an agency owner or agency principal, share with them the burdens. If you're having a hard time finding employees, having a hard time finding commercial CSRs, Share those burdens with your marketing rep that you trust. I mean, that's important to have that trust, that relationship.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to really trust that person because you don't want your business getting out there.
Exactly. So, I think with a good rep, you utilize them more. When I have my really good agency, I say, hey, Mike, this is what I'm struggling with. Account rounding. I can't get my CSRs or my producers to ask the question, to sell life insurance or do whatever it is. Put it on the reps. Give them a chance to help you. Because what I do every day is I'm in 10 to 15 different agencies a week. I see a lot of different things. I see different ideas. And I've got a lot of value that you just delivering donuts is just underutilizing what I can offer to your agency. And so I would beg you as an agent, even if you're a junior agent, if you're a new hire, say, hey, Mike, I need your help. I'm trying to learn how to sell. I'm trying to learn how to close. I'm trying to learn how to close, cold call. Help me. Please let us reps. We've got so much experience. Let us help.
Yeah. Mike, thank you so much for being on Awkward Insurance today. I am so thankful that you answered our desperate plea to fill in this last minute spot here because it turned out so wonderfully. Red Shield is absolutely lucky to have a marketing representative like you that invests so much, not only into what he does for the insurance company, but into his agents, which then in turn translate into just making our industry as a whole a lot better, a lot more accountable, and definitely contributing to an issue that I am working on bringing up is the knowledge transfer that is seeming to just kind of fading away as we go into this age of technology and AI and everybody Googles instead of passing knowledge from one person to another, learning from each other and understanding the whys behind what we do instead of just what we do. So I am so thankful that you were here today. Thank you so much for being on Awkward Insurance.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Toodles, everybody. Thanks for hanging out and listening to another Awkward Insurance conversation.
If you haven't already, be sure to join the Awkward Insurance Facebook community. We have an amazing group of people on there.
And for more episodes, head over to the National Alliance website at scic.com. Now go forth and be awkward. Toodles.
That's awkward.